Welcome to my next vlog, and I'm really excited to tell you guys what I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm working with this incredible organization called WarChild. I'm an ambassador there, and I've been an ambassador for almost 1.5 years now, and it's WarChild Holland. And I know you guys saw before that I went on an incredible field trip with them to see their incredible work that they do in Uganda at the refugee settlement. And I can't wait for you guys to see my speech and to see how we can change people's lives and we can give children hope, and they don't have to have their lives defined by war. Okay. I'm a bit nervous, so I think it's better for me to just go and to just, make sure I have my speech perfected as much as possible. So I'm gonna go and do that. Okay, bye guys.
So I'd like to ask to the stage Michaela on behalf of WarChild.
Hello. Hi, my name is Michaela DePrince, and I'm a ballerina at National Ballet, co-author of Taking Flight, and ambassador with WarChild Holland. Recently, I had the opportunity to see the amazing work that WarChild does for children who have been affected by war and conflict. It was an incredible experience, but a heartbreaking one as well. When I saw the children with their stomachs sticking out because they were malnourished, it reminded me of what it felt like to not know when I would have food, when the next time I would eat. When I looked into their eyes, I could see my younger self looking back at me. I saw the sadness in their eyes, the walls that they had to build up so that they would never know the pain of abandonment and loss ever again. I could see that they were survivors, that we were survivors. You see, I'm also a war child, and I still battle with my past almost every single night. I still see those rebels and the horrible things that happened to me and the people I loved. I never asked for this life, and those refugees in Uganda didn't ask for it either. They don't deserve to not know what hope feels like. So I'm here today to tell you the story of a little girl who had no hope. A story that most call a fairy tale, but I strongly disagree. I wasn't always called Michaela DePrince. My original name is Mabinti Bangura, and I was born in 1995 in Sierra Leone, West Africa. And that was just 4 years into the bloody civil war that would not end for another 7.5 years. By then, the war would have displaced thousands of men, and there were thousands of women and children who would have been raped, and over 50,000 women and children and men would have been killed. My parents were among the dead. I had been born with vitiligo, a skin condition which caused patches of my skin to lose pigmentation and turn white. This resulted in me being exposed to ridicule and harassment. The people in West Africa, in the West African country, believed that vitiligo was a curse, so they called me the devil's child. They thought that anything bad that happened in West Africa was my fault, to the failure of crops, to the Ebola epidemic. However, my biological parents always defended me. They knew that in their culture, my vitiligo made me unmarriageable. So they taught me to read and save money for my education. They wanted me to grow up to become something other than a beggar on the street. But when the rebels killed my father and my biological mother passed away soon after, I was alone and defenseless. When my parents died, my uncle, certain that I would never bring him a good bride's price, didn't see the point of wasting money on feeding me and giving me clothes. So he brought me to the orphanage and left me there. In the orphanage, we had aunties who cared for us, not in the way your aunties care for you at home. These aunties were poor, uneducated women who cooked for us, washed our clothes in exchange to bring food and clothes to their own children at home. These women had their favorites in the orphanage. Number one was a favorite child. Number one was a child who received the first portion of food and first item in the clothing pile. And number 27 was her least favorite. The child who received the last and smallest portion of food, the child whose stomach ached to know what it felt like to be full, the child who received the last item of clothing in the used clothing pile, the child who longed to know what happiness felt like. She was a child that hated to look at herself in the mirror because all she saw was the monster that they told her she was. I was number 27. Every day, I had hoped it was all a dream, that my parents really didn't die, and that they would come back for me. Sometimes I would wake up calling for them, and then it would hit me that they weren't coming. That was when I decided that if I showed anybody that I loved them, that something bad would happen to them. I just knew it. At the orphanage, I made a friend. Her name was Mabinti too, Mabinti Suma. And even though Mabinti Suma was number 26 because she was left-handed, and she was often in ill health, she was full of kindness and good cheer. She sang to me when I was frightened. She comforted me when I was sad and defended me when I was under attack. She listened to my secrets and stuck by me when I needed her. And 20 years later, she's doing that as my sister Mia DePrince. One day, the Harmattan blew a yellow old magazine right down onto the orphanage gate and slapped him right in the face. On the cover was a picture of a ballerina. I didn't know what she was doing in the photo, but she looked so happy and content that all I knew was that I had to be this person. Just maybe if I did what she did, I would be happy too. A pregnant teacher came to the orphanage to teach us English. Her name was Teacher Sarah. I learned from her that the woman was a ballerina and she was dancing ballet. I knew that one day I too would wear pink pointe shoes, pink tutu, and leap onto the beautiful stage. In preparation for that day, I leaped and skipped around the orphanage gate, kicking up dust in my wake. I wanted to be ready to step into my pointe shoes at any given moment, because isn't that what always happens in a fairy tale? How I yearned for that dream, and I thought about it day and night. With everything going so well, I truly believed that maybe I could be this ballerina. Then all of a sudden, again, I lost somebody I cared about. After a few extra lessons with Teacher Sarah, we started walking towards the gate. Me, of course, talking about becoming that ballerina. And then it happened so fast. There were 2 adult rebels walking towards the gate and 1 child rebel lagging behind. The rebels were full of alcohol or drugs in their system. They saw that Teacher Sarah was pregnant. They started betting on whether it was a girl or a boy. They decided to find out. They cut her stomach open and saw it was a baby girl and killed my teacher in front of me. The little boy copied the other rebels and took his machete out and cut my stomach open. Again, I learned this is what happens when I care about people. They died and left me. Now that you've heard the beginning of my life, do you still think it's a fairy tale? But soon my life would turn around. I learned that I was going to be adopted by an American family. It had taken quite a while though to get to my family. I had been airsick and felt miserable as I stepped off the plane, but then I saw her. She was wearing bright red sneakers, and her hair, she must have been running her fingers through her hair because it stuck up like the ray of the sun. And she said to me, "I'm your new mama," she said as she reached for my hand and my best friend's hand and led us away. Later in our hotel room, I searched through every nook and cranny in my mother's luggage, expecting to find a pair of ballet pointe shoes, my tutu, my tiara, so I could become this ballerina. After all, isn't that what always happens in every fairy tale? But when my mother finally figured out what was going on, she said to me, "You will dance." Once we were in the United States, my mother drove me to ballet class. First, it was 1 day a week, Before I went to my first ballet class, I begged my mother to buy me a leotard so I could hide my spots. It was so hot that I took it off right away because I deserved to be able to look at myself and not feel bad about how I was. For a long time, I dreaded looking in the mirror and seeing those spots, but then eventually I focused on ballet and stopped worrying about them. I studied ballet for the next 13 years. At first, I went to class 1 day a week, and then by the time I was 10 years old, I was dancing 6 days a week. Because of this, a lot of the kids were jealous of me, upset with the fact that I worked really hard. In high school, I ended up dancing 7 days a week. During those years, I produced an ocean amount of sweat, used tubes of ointments on my sore muscles, and wore out approximately 650 pairs of pointe shoes. They're very expensive. While I was working so hard, my beloved brother, who was 24 years old, Teddy, passed away. Again, I got that feeling that whenever I got close to somebody, they died and left me. As a result, I had a tough few years as a teen, fearing to love because it led to heartbreak. But eventually, my parents were able to convince me that even though the people we love may die, their love will always be a part of us because it is a part of who we are today. Finally, all those years of hard work paid off. I leaped onto the stage as a professional ballerina and my dream had come true. The dream that had started as a little girl in a hot, dusty orphanage more than 18 years ago. So this is my story. It is one of hard work, suffering, heartache, and loss. But it is also one of achievement, love, joy, and daring to dream. I know the world will never be without war or conflict. Everyone struggles with their own conflicts within. But if your conflict is bigger within yourself than with others, then that can cause more problems in the world. But if you can find a way to solve those conflicts within yourselves, then maybe we can have peace in this world one day. So through my story, I want to encourage young people to aspire to dream. No matter what circumstances you are under at any given moment, dare to dream. No matter how poor or how sad you are, dare to dream. Dare to make your talent a part of your dream. Be who you want to be no matter what obstacles you face. Your past will always be a part of your life, but it does not define you. Dare to be the voice for those who have lost their voice. Dare to make love a part of your life. Dare to dream. Thank you.